Bienvenido, maestro Charles, gracias por estar en el canal. Bueno, quisiera hablarle sobre sus principios, sus inicios, dos filmes, el de Last Front y el de Parasite. Esos son los que definieron su carrera como director.
Welcome to the channel, Master Charles. And
Thank
yes,
you.
let's start with the beginning, man. What can you tell us about doing back on those years, the last Foxtrot and man, Parasite, the real Parasite?
Well, last Foxtrot was a mistake. So Parasite was fun. I was very close to Stan Winston, who we began almost our careers together. My first movie, Mansion of the Doomed, Stan did the effects. And many years later, he became very successful. Of course, later with Cameron and Terminator, and I think he won 6 Academy Awards. But I went to him for Parasite because it was a 3D movie, and no one was making 3D at the time. And I begged him. I said, "Stan, you got to help me out with this creature that comes into the camera." And he did. It was the last time he was able to do one of my shows because he became super famous and super expensive. But we became we stayed very close until his untimely end. Yeah, but it was a fun movie to shoot in stereo vision with a very young 20-year-old Demi Moore. So I have good memories of that movie.
I am doing an investigation, a research about movies and video games, man. You are the man that did the Dungeon Master, man, and you even produced one of my favorite movies. Oh, I don't remember the name, but it's the one with the spies, the Jhon spies, and of course the Transfers movie. So
Right.
What can you tell us about, man, did you ever imagine that now the tendency is doing movies about video games when you did the Dungeon Master, man? I mean,
Right. Well, it goes farther than that. In approximately 1980, Atari was a very popular system with Pac-Man, and I thought that making a horror video game in the Atari system would be a good idea. So I licensed the rights to Halloween and to Texas Chainsaw Massacre, and this is in the Stone Age days of a video game, but I found the programmers and we created these very simplistic games. And I brought the units to a big consumer electronics show in Chicago. And I thought, I'm going to make a lot of money and make a lot of movies. I was very excited. And I premiered the material there. And the buyers, the people I was meeting with were the buyers from big chains like Sears, so we met and they thought I was crazy. They said, you've wasted your time. Nobody's interested in horror video games. Video games are for children, not for horror movies. And it was a big flop. So I gave a lot of the cassettes away. I made a few thousand and I abandoned it. It was called Wizard Video Games. And, today, occasionally I'll see one of these in good condition for thousands of dollars on eBay because there were so few made. But we were the very first, video games, horror video games ever. But I was unfortunately way too many years ahead of my time.
También, maestro, hay que recalcar sobre dos producciones importantes que yo digo que están infravaloradas, que es la de Uga Buga y la de Gingerdead. Entonces, ¿qué define esta experiencia en estos muñequitos impresionantes, como para decirlo?
I'm happy that Jhon asked for these 2 productions, and yes, Jhon considered it underrated. For me, your whole body of work is underrated, man. But what can you tell us about the Gingerdead, man? And of course, Uga Buga, man. It's getting like a cult following. Man, I love both.
Wow. Well, I had a long period of making pretty straight up horror movies, always with a little dark sense of humor. And then, 10, 15, 20 years ago, I was sort of in a different frame of mind. And, I thought it would be a fun idea to make a movie about a killer cookie. Sounds ridiculous. And a good friend of mine, Billy Butler, had this script. It was very ambitious. There were many Gingerdead men. I said, well, let's simplify the story and I'll direct it. And then we need to find a character, somebody that would be recognizable, who could play the spirit of the Ginger Dead Man. And my casting people at the time said, well, how about we cast like a star, somebody that would be recognizable? And I said, well, we can't really afford that. But then I thought, well, maybe we can, because that actor would only work one day. The idea was his character gets killed, and for those who have not seen the movie, he gets cremated, and the ashes go in the gingerbread batter, and out pops a pissed off ginger dead man. But I only needed the actor, the famous actor, for a day. So several were suggested, including Gary Busey, who I thought would be a great idea. And I was surprised that he accepted the role. You know, he's a well-known actor that I don't think would have done a movie about a killer cookie. But he did, and I worked with him one day. It was crazy working with Gary Busey. Then he came back and he did the voice of the cookie. So, you know, that was a strange movie, but people really liked it, and we've made several series, sequels after. And then I did a similar weird movie called Evil Bong, which is in the same métier of crazy. Well, I mean, there's nothing better than a title that in 2 words is the log line that explains what the movie is. So everyone knows when they see Evil Bong, they know what it is. So you don't need any more explanation. And then we did movies, Evil Bong versus the Ginger Dead Man. So that was always fun. So those movies were all done in a good spirit. They were completely ridiculous. And somewhere around that period, I thought, let's make a movie about a character that would seek revenge on people who were treating these people badly. It's a long story, the way the idea came to my mind, but the idea of Ooga Booga came, and that was even crazier as far as a project. I think the copy line was "Racists Beware." So yeah, that was a period between, I think, 8 or 9 Evil Bong movies, 4 or 5 Ginger Dead Man movies, Ooga Booga. It was a fun period of making really bizarre, entertainment.
I got the next question, because we got the protagonist here of a classic that you produced, that is Tourist Trap. Man, did you ever imagine that being a producer, you will make, you produce Reanimator, you produce From Beyond, you produce Tourist Trap. Did you ever imagine that these movies will be catered? Of course, all the puppet masters we got, for example, people like Michael Pare here in the channel, became cult classics. What is for you the meaning of cult classic, man? Jocelyn Joss, of course, was here.
I don't know. I've just, I love the process of dreaming up ideas. The movie we're about, my very next movie now is my number 411th movie, which seems crazy. But it's I'm lucky to be able to do this, to have these ideas come up always with the poster, the title, and then hopefully get a good script written and make a clever movie, always within a very small budget range. So we have a great program for the movies that we're making this year on Patreon. You just go to the Patreon app and go to Full Moon, and we have some things where the fans can actually be involved on set. They can kind of see the process, because we have 10 movies, believe it or not, 10 movies that we're making this year. The first one we shoot a week from Sunday, the 25th of January. And again, the title explains it all. The title is The Grim Rapper. So, and then the next one is Models versus Werewolves. So all crazy.
Before I let my friend talking, this is something for the fans. Yes, they're right. Ginger Dead Man got one of the most beautiful soundtracks in a movie, man. It's beautiful. I don't know. I needed to say it.
Y para recalcar este tema del documental, aquí tuve a Andrew Dibov, quien me lo recomendó para poder entrevistarlo, que estuvo involucrado en este proyecto. ¿Cómo defines la experiencia de todo el legado que has tenido? Porque hay muchos que te recordaron en este documental.
Okay, Jhon got on the channel Andrew Dibov. So he's the one that he's suggesting because you appear on Short of Shields, the final event. So as a final question, man, more than like you say, a lot of titles. How do you define your career, man, in a word?
I don't know. I can't think of a word. I grew up, on Marvel Comics, loving the works of, Jack Kirby, and I was a friend of Stan Lee's for many years. And when I started making a lot of the movies in the '90s, we were distributed by Paramount, and I really felt that I was making the comic books of the '90s because we were making a movie every month, and just it's a thrill, and I there's nothing that has changed. I'm literally making more or less the same movies now for 53 years. The medium has changed. In the '70s, it was briefly theatrical. That was it. And then video, and I was an early pioneer in the video business, and we had Betamax and VHS, and then discs, and now it's everything. It's disc and streaming, and AVOD and SVOD. The world's become, unfortunately, very complicated. But I'm essentially making the same small, high concept, hopefully entertaining movies I've made forever. And I'm lucky to keep doing them, and I will keep doing them until even if things go wrong, and I'm 100 years old and I'm a head in a jar, just a head. They'll bring the head to the set. As long as I can talk, I can still direct. I can still go, okay, action. Whatever it is. Just the process of inventing these movies and seeing them made and releasing them is sort of magical, and it's a Dorian Gray thing, because if I stop doing this, that'd be it. I would be over.
Solo felicito, hace poco vi la película, la de Prom, es sobre el tema de la IA y la seducción. Solo quería felicitarlo, que es algo diferente.
Jhon said that he watched The Prom. He says that this movie even deals with a subject that is really close now, the IA. So, man, what is your opinion? Because you get really ahead with subjects that are now the common, like video games. But what is your opinion about the IA, man? Because you deal with that subject on your movies.
Yeah. Well, did I misunderstood? Did Jhon see Prompt? Has he seen it?
Yes, he saw it.
Okay. All right. What was the ending a little surprising, the ending, the flip?
I will ask my friend.
Okay.
Jhon, pregunta. Jhon, dice cómo te pareció el final? Dice que te sorprendió el giro.
Nunca me esperé ese final. Ese final que yo digo, ¿cómo se espera en ese final? ¿Por qué?
Jhon said that it was unexpected, man. He doesn't expect that ending. He say, why? What happened?
Well, it was fun. So AI is just a tool. It doesn't solve everything. And, I like using it as an ingredient in these movies. Prompt is about is about that world, and how today you can actually create commercials with a prompt. You can actually sell product. It's a fascinating world, but in the case of the movie called Prompt, we only have about 5 minutes of AI. So obviously the images that she she prompts on her screen, the sexy people, that's all AI, but everything else is not AI. But I thought it'd be fun to flip it at the end. And I also like making sexy movies. Very few people are making movies that are sexy anymore. Everyone's afraid. So we went maybe a little too far with Prompt, but I think it's a fun movie. And I thought the young actress who played the lead is very, very good. And we have, I have a bit of AI in some of the new movies coming up. To give you an example, I'm making a movie called Autonomous, and it's basically about to make it simple, it's about an evil drone. But what it's really about is this kid who loves this girl, of course, because there's always a beautiful girl involved. And he creates this drone that has extra powers, so to speak, but he comes up with an idea where the drone can fly, and then he has a noise canceling application, so it's and then boom, you don't hear it, you don't hear anything, it's silent. So he he gets into the girl's apartment, and the minute he comes in, the drone comes in there, he's watching, it flips off, and it's quiet, and it's watching the girl, of course, and some clothes are coming off, and then she's aware, and it leaves. So the idea of the movie, though, is he adds a little AI to the drone so the drone can think more for itself. And then the girl doesn't want him. He gets insulted, and then he sends the AI back to just make her a little crazy. But the AI in the drone has a mind of its own, so it gets out of control, and it starts doing scary things. And he's got to go and rescue the girl. Anyway, it's a very cool piece of art, and it's called Autonomous, and it's just a window where you see this creepy looking drone, So it's your basic horror movie with a drone that has a bit of AI intelligence. So, I like using AI in that way. I think that's kind of a fun way to use AI.
Because you mentioned doing sexy movies. Man, God bless you for doing Meridian. Wow.
Thank you. Yeah. I have a few more that I'm making later this year in Italy that will be similar to Meridian. Not the same movie, just in that sort of that kind of tableau, the gothic, and definitely sexy girls. No one's making sexy movies. Everyone's afraid. Anyway, thanks for all the good questions. I'm sorry my machine got messed up.
Yes, save a moment, please, y envía saludos a Colombia para finalizar.
The camera is yours, so you can send a big hi to your friends in Colombia and every part of the world, Latin America. You can name one of the projects that people need to stay focused. Go ahead. For us, it's a big thank you, man. Go ahead.
Well, first of all, thank you for everyone. You can go to fullmoonfeatures.com. That's our app, and it's available. The whole world can tune in, and it's a reasonable price. It helps support what we're doing. The world is very different than those great days where we go to the video store and you would rent a video. It's very simple. Today, it's a complicated world, but Full Moon Features, that's where you can see our movies all over the world, and we're making 10 movies this year. It's crazy. People think it's not going to happen. We have 10 wonderful films, and if you go to Full Moon Features, you'll see some of the artwork. You'll see some of the things that we're doing during the course of the year. So, thanks for supporting Full Moon and my movies for forever.
Before I end, let me tell you, in the investigation, if there is one movie that is missing, go ahead. I will talk about Dungeon Master. Of course, I will talk about Task Force and Arcade. But if there is a movie on Full Moon that deals with video games, let me know which one I let out so I can bring in. Tell me more.
Which one? I don't know. I don't know. Which movie are we missing?
No. I asking you because I will talk about Dungeon Master, of course. I will talk about Arcade and Task Force. But if there is a Full Moon movie that you say, oh, Andres, you need to check for this one, a Full Moon that deals with video games, go ahead.
Yeah. Well, my favorite Full Moon movie is Head of the Family. Head of the Family. And then right after that, another movie called Hideous. They're both movies that I'm very close to. They kind of hit all the marks. And when I see a movie, I want all that flavor. So yeah, Head of the Family. Also, it's on Full Moon Features, and Hideous. Both movies. Hideous I made in Romania. It's just really, they're fun movies to watch. There's so many. It's hard to even think of all of them. But I would recommend, if people haven't seen it, Head of the Family is pretty good.
And you need to become the head of the family, man, in the future. Keep doing movies.
Okay.
Thank you, man.
Thank you very much, and good luck, guys. All right, good luck.
God bless you. Bye. Take
care. Ciao.
Take care, legends. Ciao.
Sweet and clear as moonlight through the pines.